Here are 3 common mistakes men make when trying to communicate with women, and most don't even realize they're doing them. These mistakes come from good intentions, wanting to be clear, respectful, and caring. But instead of earning respect, they quietly chip away at it. Think about it. You send good morning texts, check in throughout the day, and when there's tension, you explain yourself in detail so she won't misunderstand you. On paper, you're the perfect gentleman, attentive, thoughtful, caring. But here's the part no one tells you. Instead of pulling her closer, all of this slowly pushes her away. Replies get slower, her energy turns colder, and you're left wondering, what just happened? Here's the paradox. The more you try to communicate openly, the less she respects you. Sounds harsh, right? But stay with me, because once you understand why this happens, you'll see how easy it is to flip the script. And if you're serious about decoding female psychology and becoming the kind of man women respect, make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Most men believe respect comes from constant reassurance, explaining themselves, proving they care, or asking for validation. But to a woman's subconscious mind, over-communicating signals insecurity. Needing her to get you equals neediness. Arguing to prove your point equals desperation. And all 3 destroy respect faster than anything else. Women don't just hear your words, they feel the energy behind them. If your tone says, "Please don't leave me," she doesn't feel closeness. She feels doubt. And here's the kicker. When men notice her pulling back, they double down. Longer texts, more explanations, harder arguments. But the harder they try, the faster respect fades. This is the trap I want to help you avoid. Because respect in communication doesn't come from what you say. It comes from how you carry yourself when you say it. The men women respect most don't over-explain, don't beg for reassurance, and don't argue endlessly. They stay calm, confident, and decisive, and that's what makes women lean in instead of pull away. So here's what we're going to do. In this video, I'll show you the 3 biggest communication mistakes that destroy respect, and how to replace them with behaviors that build attraction, trust, and admiration. Communication mistake number 1, over-explaining yourself. Let's start with the first mistake, over-explaining yourself. Here's how it usually plays out. She asks why you didn't reply right away, or why you didn't seem as affectionate yesterday. Instead of giving a calm, simple answer, you launch into a long explanation. You tell her where you were, what you were doing, why your tone came across that way, and how much you really do care. In your head, you're being transparent and respectful, but in her head, you just lost points. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Every extra word you use to justify yourself lowers her respect for you. Why? Because over-explaining communicates insecurity. It says, "I'm afraid you'll be upset with me, so let me prove I didn't do anything wrong." And the moment you frame yourself as needing her approval, her subconscious files you as lower value. Think about it. A man who knows his worth doesn't scramble to defend every detail of his behavior. He doesn't need to justify why he was busy, why he didn't text back instantly, or why his tone wasn't perfect. He assumes his value is obvious. He expects to be understood without pleading his case. And that quiet confidence is exactly what earns respect. This ties back to psychology, specifically frame control. In every interaction, there's a frame, a lens of who is leading, who is reacting. When you over-explain, you step into her frame. She becomes the judge, and you become the defendant on trial. And nobody respects a man who's always on trial for his own behavior. Here's a quick example. Imagine she says, "Why didn't you text me back last night?" The over-explainer replies, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was with my friend, we were watching the game, and my phone died, and then I thought about texting, but it was late and I didn't want to wake you up." Sounds harmless, but that avalanche of words screams, "Please don't be mad at me." Now compare it to the high-value response. "Busy night. How's your morning?" Short, calm, no guilt, no defense. You acknowledge without over-investing. And instantly, the frame shifts back to you leading the interaction. Here's the principle. Less is more. Respect is not earned by proving yourself. It is earned by showing you don't need to. The next time you feel the urge to over-explain, stop, breathe, cut your words in half. Answer simply, then move the conversation forward. Not defensively, not aggressively, just calmly. Because confidence isn't loud or desperate. It's steady, and it doesn't rush to be understood. So remember, if you want her to respect you, stop giving courtroom speeches every time she questions you. Let your actions and your calm tone do the work. Mistake number 2, seeking constant reassurance. The second mistake men make in communication is one that feels small in the moment, but over time, it destroys respect. Seeking constant reassurance. It shows up in questions like, "Do you still love me? Are you mad at me? Do you think I'm good enough for you?" On the surface, these might seem harmless, even sweet. You're just being vulnerable, right? But to her subconscious mind, these questions scream insecurity. Here's the shocker. The moment you need reassurance from her, you lower your value in her eyes. Why? Because attraction is built on the perception that you're solid, steady, and confident in who you are. When you ask for reassurance, you're signaling the opposite. You're saying, "I'm not sure of myself, so I need you to make me feel okay." And the moment she feels like she's responsible for holding you together emotionally, her respect starts to slip. Let's break down the psychology behind this. Women are wired to look for strength and stability in a partner, not because they're cruel or judgmental, but because of survival instincts baked into human nature. For thousands of years, choosing a man who was weak, needy, or overly dependent was a bad bet for survival. It meant he might collapse under pressure, fail to protect or drain her energy instead of leading. Fast forward to today. Even though society has changed, those instincts are still active. When you seek constant reassurance, her subconscious registers it as, "This man is not fully stable. He needs me to validate him. He's looking up to me instead of me looking up to him." And once that frame flips, attraction takes a nosedive. Here's an example. Let's say you're on a date and you ask, "So, do you like me as much as I like you?" You think you're being honest and open, but she hears, "I need you to convince me I'm worthy." That kills the mystery, removes the challenge, and puts her in the role of caretaker, not admirer. Now compare that to the high-value approach. Instead of fishing for reassurance, you project assurance. You don't ask if she likes you, you assume she does. Your words and actions carry the energy of course she enjoys being here. I'm the kind of man who adds value to her life. That quiet certainty is magnetic. So how do you flip this mistake? Stop asking for reassurance and start giving playful, confident statements instead. If you're tempted to say, "Do you still love me?" switch it to something like, "Careful, you're falling for me harder every day." Said with a smirk, it teases her, shows confidence, and keeps the energy light. The principle is simple. Don't beg for validation. Create an environment where she naturally gives it to you. The men women respect are the ones who don't need to be told they're enough. They already know it, and that certainty is what makes her lean in closer. Mistake number 3, arguing to win. The one that causes the most fights and the most silent breakups. Arguing to win. Here's how it usually plays out. She says something that doesn't sit right with you. Maybe she accuses you of not paying enough attention. Maybe she says you don't care about her feelings. Or maybe she gets dramatic about something small, like you not texting back fast enough. Instead of staying calm, you jump in with facts, logic, and arguments to prove she's wrong. You line up your points like a lawyer in court. You break down the timeline, present your evidence, and try to convince her that your perspective is the correct one. In your mind, you're being rational. You're teaching her to see the truth. But here's the problem. Every time you argue with a woman to win, you've already lost. Why? Because women aren't testing your logic. They're testing your emotional strength. Here's the shocker. The more you fight to prove you're right, the more you prove you're insecure. And insecurity is the fastest way to lose her respect. Think about it. If you were truly confident in yourself, would you need to go back and forth endlessly, trying to force her to see your side? Of course not. You'd say your piece calmly, and if she disagreed, you'd stay grounded. You wouldn't get sucked into a power struggle. The psychology here is simple. Relationships are less about who's right, and more about who holds their frame. When she gets moody, dramatic, or confrontational, she's not really looking for a logical debate. She's unconsciously testing to see if you will lose control. If you snap, raise your voice, or drown her in logic, you've failed the test. You've shown that her emotions dictate yours. Here's an example. Let's say she says, "You don't care about me. You didn't even notice I was upset." The low-value response is, "That's not true. Remember last week when I asked if you were okay? And yesterday I texted you twice. You're being unfair." All those words, all that effort, and what does it communicate? I need you to see me as a good guy. That's seeking validation through argument. Now here's the high-value response. "Come on, you know that's not true." Said with calm eye contact, steady tone, maybe even a smirk. Short, simple, unshaken. Notice the difference? One is desperate to convince. The other stands firm without breaking frame. The principle is this. Respect isn't won by overpowering her with words. It's earned by staying calm under pressure. So next time you feel the urge to argue, don't. State your perspective clearly, then let it rest. Show her you're not rattled, you're not defensive, and you don't need her agreement to feel secure. That's the kind of man women respect. The closing lesson. So let's bring it all together. You've just learned the 3 most common communication mistakes that quietly destroy a woman's respect for you. 1. Over-explaining yourself. Turning every conversation into a courtroom defense. 2. Seeking constant reassurance. Putting her in the role of validating your worth. 3. Arguing to win. Trying to beat her with logic instead of showing emotional strength. On the surface, each of these behaviors looks innocent, even healthy. You might think you're just being honest, open, and committed. But the deeper truth is this. When you communicate from a place of insecurity, neediness, or desperation, you lose respect. Not because she's cruel, not because she's manipulative, but because human psychology works that way. Here's the reassurance I want to give you. These aren't manipulative games women are playing. These patterns are subconscious. Most women don't even realize they're doing it. But whether they realize it or not, their instincts are tuned to respect men who hold their frame. Men who stay calm, concise, and confident in how they communicate. The great news? Once you understand this, you instantly stand out from 97% of men. Think about it. Most men fall into the trap of over-explaining, chasing validation, or arguing endlessly. And women get bored, frustrated, or lose attraction. But you now have the tools to flip the script. Instead of over-explaining, you'll keep your words short, calm, and decisive. Instead of begging for reassurance, you'll project playful confidence. Instead of arguing to win, you'll stay composed and let your steadiness speak for itself. And when you do this consistently, something amazing happens. She respects you more. She listens when you talk. She feels safe around you. And most importantly, she stays attracted to you. So here's my challenge for you. Over the next week, pay close attention to how you communicate. Catch yourself when you're tempted to over-explain. Notice when you feel the urge to ask for reassurance. And most of all, recognize when you're about to argue just to prove a point. Instead, flip the script. Stay calm, stay grounded, speak less, but with more certainty. Because respect isn't earned by saying more, it's earned by needing less. Now, if you found this valuable, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And don't stop here, because in the next video, I'm going to break down the 5 hidden phrases women use to test men. And I'll show you exactly how to respond so you pass those tests every time. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. That video could change the way you handle every conversation with women for the rest of your life. This is Psychology Decoded. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.